Hello, Ray Phoenix here. Welcome to Let's Play LEGO Star Wars The Video Game Part 4. So we return to Naboo. As you can see, we go down this song, so we meet up with the Grinch again. We can make some kind of deal with the Grinch to help with this invasion problem. You know, the Grinch is always good at fighting against people who invade his home. He's also really good at being a security system, too. You know, like when you go to a shoplifter and says, "Didn't your parents ever tell you not to take things that don't belong to you? What are you, some kind of wild animal?" And then you work the other hand, and then they get scared and leave probably, unless they're like really, you know, like unless they're like those buff thug guys they have nowadays that rob stores or things like that, or if they're on the street that rob people on the street, they're probably not scared of the Grinch. And the same people that wouldn't be scared of the Grinch would be, you know, probably not the real people that would be shoplifting in stores. But then again, people that are afraid of a wolf man are not up at 3:30 in the morning. The only people that are up at 3:30 in the morning are people that are scared of getting sobered up and finding a job. So, these people have a job, though. We have to stop these Trade Federation invaders from, you know, invading our planet. And this is our last stand against them. We're taking a grand stand against them. Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, and a bunch of locals and resistance people are all going to go and fight against these battle droids. Apparently they're starving the people of Naboo. A lot of the people of Naboo have died over this. We never seen this pain and suffering ever happen before, though. It's unknown it's ever happened. Even the Senate was saying, you can't prove any of this. Well, there is no proof. Well, yeah, even the movie itself didn't provide any proof. Even they had like that technology they have in Spaceballs, where you could watch a movie before it even comes out on VHS. And even if they could watch the movie up to this point, there'd still be no proof that there ever was, you know, an invasion of Naboo, or that there was ever any pain and suffering happening because of this invasion of Naboo. So they don't have a case. They can't prove anything, so to speak. And so a lot of this is just a bunch of barrage of blaster fire, which can easily be deflected with lightsabers. You know, that's what lightsabers are good for, deflecting blaster fire. And this is the only level in the game where it's not possible to get the Super Kit piece in story mode. The only way to get the Super Kit piece is in free play mode, and even then you have to have a dark Force user, which by the end of the next level you'll have a Darth Maul available for purchase. So you can just go buy Darth Maul and you can play as him in this level again, and then that's how you could get the Super Kit piece. It's really difficult to get the Super Kit piece. It's the only real level where it's actually challenging to get the Super Kit piece. Most of the rest of this game, getting the Super Kit piece is really just a big cakewalk. Unless you're someone that's not good at gaming, is genuinely not good at gaming, or someone that doesn't know this game very well. Or then again, maybe I just know this game too well. I haven't played this game way too much, I know it too well. I remember be playing this on a Saturday afternoon when my grandma would be watching TV and there'd be these commercials about scams. Commercials like PSAs to warn seniors about scams and things like that. You can't really be too careful with scams. Scams are everywhere. My grandma falls for scams all the time. My grandma one time gave $200 to some illegitimate lawn care company when I'm the one that she pays to mow the lawn. She betrayed me. I'm not angry. My grandma's awesome. And so we just destroyed that statue, which is probably a couple thousand years old. And look at that. It gave us a mini kit. How nice is that? A mini kit. Even though it's not possible to get a Super Kit piece in this stage, you still want to have as many studs as possible, so I recommend collecting as many studs as possible, even though it's not possible to get the Super Kit. Unless maybe it has some sort of like invincibility or something like that, or some kind of extra or something like that. Then again, I don't even think there's any multipliers in this game. Like, remember, like in the sequel, LEGO Star Wars 2, they introduced stud multipliers, but I don't think they have any of those in this game. And this is on the PS2 as well too, so there aren't any mods for this game, because they never make mods for console systems. It's always PC that gets mods. There's hundreds of mods for Battlefront 2, but oh, they're all on the PC. Apparently Battlefront 2's definitive version is the PC version, which I still haven't really played yet. I'm actually interested in playing, though. I actually found it at a thrift store once a few years ago. I wasn't sure if it was worth buying it or not. I didn't think my computer could handle it, and all I had back then was a Dell Dimension 9150 from 2006. Which I still have to this day, and I still use it quite a bit for things. At least not as ridiculous as Billy Core of the Nostalgia Mall, where in this current year of 2020, he is using his Packard Bell computer that was made in 1995 and runs Windows 95 to write a novel. There's no way I would ever do that. I would never use Windows 95 to write a novel. Windows XP, I would totally use Windows XP to write a novel. I trust Windows XP with my life, but Windows 95, not a chance. And so, again, here's another thing you can't really do in story mode, because you need a high jumper to jump up there and get whatever's up there. And of course, there's no Jar Jar Binks in this level, as we abandoned him out in the swamp with his Gungan buddies, as they're probably gonna face certain doom, fighting against, whatever comes this way. So in this hallway, a lot of these things require dark force powers, which, as I said before, we don't have, because none of us are dark Jedi. There aren't any dark Jedi. I don't even think we can play as any dark Jedi in story mode, with the exception of Darth Vader in the last level, but you're gonna see that when we get there. And the only way you can really get to the last level is you get all the super kit pieces, so there's no way you could have Darth Vader in this level originally. And so the droids are shooting at us right here. It's actually easier to take the lightsaber and just deflect the shots. And of course we can't get up there because we don't have Jar Jar Binks with us, the greatest wall jumper around. Remember there's a part in LEGO Star Wars 2 that's like that, where it's very hard to get up there. And to make matters worse, there's no Jar Jar Binks character in LEGO Star Wars 2. So, yeah, there aren't even really any high jump characters in LEGO Star Wars 2. It's like they originally intended to have some in LEGO Star Wars 2, but somehow they forgot to actually put them in. I've heard sometimes video games have been known to do it. Sometimes, like in Spyro 3, Year of the Dragon, in the PS1. Well, of course, it's only a PS1. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the green labeled version the green labeled version. Or there's a batch of the green labeled version where it's impossible to get the game 100% complete because of one thing. I have the black labeled version of that game, and there aren't any parts that are impossible. I actually beat that game 100% once. And I have the black labeled version, and people criticize the black labeled version of Spyro 3 all the time because it doesn't have as many music songs or music cues as the green labeled version. But at least the black labeled version works, like a lot of copies of the green labeled version. So, at least it's just what I've heard. I don't know, I never actually played the green labeled version of Spyro Year of the Dragon. But maybe I should one of these days so I can find a ROM of it somewhere. And I wonder if I could find a ROM of the pre-9/11 version of Spider-Man 2, Enter Electro, where you fight Electro on top of the Twin Towers. And that game came out a few weeks before 9/11. And so there's still a barrage of enemy fire. And I didn't mention this earlier, but your co-players, your other players that are with you in your team party, they're completely useless. When they try to use their blasters to shoot at the evil droids, it's pretty much the same as shooting blanks. They're pretty much firing blanks at the enemies, and their attacks are doing. Even Obi-Wan's lightsaber, Obi-Wan's another player on my team, even his weapon isn't really useful against any of the enemies, so it's really up to you. It's really one person. It's really just a one-man army going against a battalion, a large group of evil battle droids. And Qui-Gon Jinn was supposed to be one of the greatest Jedi in the Jedi Order. However, a lot of prequel haters would disagree with that. I think Qui-Gon Jinn's one of the worst Jedi there is. He failed at using Force Persuasion, or whatever it's called, on that Watto guy on Tatooine. He always defied against the Council's judgment. He thinks, oh, we should train this boy, even though he's too old to be trained. That's kind of stupid about these movies. You can't make life-changing or lifelong decisions when you're 2 years old. Apparently Jedi get abducted when they're 2 years old and brought to the Jedi Temple. It's brought to the Jedi Order where they get trained at a very young age. You can't make decisions like that when you're a little kid. It should be more like joining the army. You know, like when you join the army or join the Navy or join the Ultraverse monks, Yvonne et Niage, or Skindum Esra Vulture et Niage is what I like to say. And so, I believe there's another mini-kit back here. It's possible to complete every level in this game without getting all the mini-kits. They're almost like the Power Stars of Super Mario 64 in a way, and this game came out after Mario 64, which Mario 64 really defined what the 3D platformer experience should have been, and Crash Bandicoot didn't exactly do that as much, because Crash Bandicoot came out a few months before Super Mario 64, and Crash Bandicoot was more like, it's a 3D game, but it follows a preset pattern, a preset track. But Mario 64 doesn't really follow a preset track at all. You really just go wherever you want to go in that game. That's what makes Mario 64 such a, incredible, breathtaking gaming experience, is what a lot of people would say about it. So we need to get Anakin to go for one of the chutes and end up where that button is so he could, unlock the door. That's what a lot of this. Even though this game can be played as a one-player game, it still requires at least a second person to get through the game. Every level in the game has at least 2 people in it, or more sometimes in this case. In free play mode, you have to use the trigger buttons to switch through characters, and then you can become, the character desired. Anakin, I believe, is one of only 2 known characters in this game that's short, I could go for these shoots. The only other character I know from this game that goes for shoots is Jango Fett. And it's the boy version, Jango. Sorry, not Jango Fett. Jango Fett's son, sorry, Boba Fett. And that's when he was a kid. Finish him, Dottie! Finish him! Sure thing, son. We'll finish him, alright? And so, of course, same old, more battle droids. I hope you guys don't mind me fighting battle droids, because they're the most common enemy we're going to be fighting in this game. Even in the next two prequels, we're going to be fighting a lot of battle droids and a lot of Confederates. We're going to be in the Clone Wars. We're going to have to fight in the Clone Wars and stuff like that. They even made a whole video game based upon that called LEGO Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars. I actually didn't like that one that much. At first it seemed pretty cool. First, cool as the Clone Wars. There's Jedi and clone troopers. You can fight the Separatists. What I don't like about it is it gets boring. It gets boring very quickly, in which you're like playing every level of the game, and each level of the game is literally the same thing. You're just stuck in a battlefield. You have to destroy this, destroy this. It's really tedious. It takes over an hour to complete a level. It's extremely tedious as hell. It's very boring. I lost interest in that game. The reason why I bought that game was because it was cheap. The reason why it was very cheap because I was being sold at Target, and Target was closing their stores. So, yeah, they were liquefying their assets. So they were selling things for next to nothing. I actually bought a copy of Amazing Spider-Man 2 on DVD there as well too for next to nothing. It may have been next to nothing anyways, considering the fact that no one really cares about Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's regarded as being one of the worst Spider-Man movies of all time. I don't really have much of a comment about that, but yeah, it very well could be the worst Spider-Man flick there is. A lot of people seem to hate those Amazing Spider-Man movies. People think they should have just continued the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man series. You know, after he went emo and goth, and there was all, no, don't say that! So now I have to rescue these royal guards. You see here, those people, we had two of those people fly us to the Trade Federation ship at the beginning, and they both sadly lost their lives. That was quite sad actually, but now we're rescuing some of them. We're going to avenge them. I'm fighting these droid minions, these droid goons of the Trade Federation. I don't even think we see the real villains in this game. They completely leave Newt Gunray out of this. We know Newt Gunray, that guy that looks like Mr. Plinkett's ex-wife, that was one of the masterminds behind this. And there was Darth Sidious. We don't see him at all in this game. It's just Darth Maul. It's like they really simplified this. They really left a lot of stuff out of the game. That's the thing about this game. It leaves a lot of important story information out of it. If you really want to know the real story behind these prequels, go watch the movies. That's the more definitive way. Or even read the books based on them, because each Star Wars movie does have an official novelization. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much how it is. Watch the movie or read the books. I recommend doing, well, watch the movie at least. But depending on what the movie is, I can read the books too. I actually am interested in reading some of these books. I read a lot of Star Wars books this year, and most of the ones I read were like original stories made by books. I think one of the great Star Wars authors is James Luceno. He's really great at writing. He wrote Cloak of Deception, he wrote Labyrinth of Evil, he wrote Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader, he wrote To Tarkin, he wrote Darth Plagueis. He wrote all the great Star Wars books. He definitely is like one of the greatest Star Wars authors. So much, in fact, the beginning of the book, Labyrinth of Evil, even refers to him as Sir James Luceno. Yeah, apparently he's a Sir for his work in writing. If he was British, he should totally get knighted. I bet if a lot of people that are not British were British, they get knighted. People such as Brian Wilson, you have Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, he would totally get knighted if he was British. And so, this is pretty much the end of the level here, where we have to get our R2 unit over here to open up the door to unlock the door, where we're gonna free those Naboo starfighters that get into space and destroy that droid control ship in space. It's completely left out of this game, which is kind of sad. I think they could have done more of this game. That's the problem I have with this game. It's really good, but I find it's kind of lacking. It leaves so much out. I really think they could have done a lot more of this. I know it's just a GameCube, PS2, Xbox game from 2005, but still, I think it could have had, a lot more. But that's just me. Maybe I'm just, beggars can't be choosers kind of thing, but that's what I think. This is Ray Phoenix signing out.